ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। नमो महावदान्याय कृष्णा प्रेम प्रदायिने कृष्णाय कृष्णा चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जन्माद्यस्य यतोऽन्वयादितरतश्चार्थे सुभिज्ञस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्म हृदयादिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः। तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। स्वस्ति अस्तु विश्वस्य खलः प्रसीदतां ध्यायन्तु भूतानि शिवं मिथो धिया। मनश्च भद्रं भजतादधोक्षजे आवेश्यतां नो मतिरप्यहेतुकी। आप सभी का स्वागत है आज के इस
We welcome all of you to today's class on Srimad Bhagavad Gita.
अध्ययन कर रहे हैं द्वितीय
We are studying
59वें श्लोक से।
second chapter, verse 59 onwards.
वाले श्लोक में भगवान ने बताया था
In the previous verse, Bhagavan had explained
को वश में रखने
how a sadhak should control his senses and perform action.
जैसे एक कछुआ
Just like a tortoise
कर रखता है
withdraws its senses under its shell
करता है।
and uses them only when needed.
अब यहाँ पर एक प्रश्न हो सकता है कि
So here a question may be raised
इंद्रिय निग्रह
that This kind of sense
हो
control
सकता है,
can be practiced even by a
या कभी
proud
किसी को
person,
कोई रोग हो जाता है,
or if
बीमारी हो
someone
जाती है,
is diseased,
उसकी
someone
खाने
is
की
sick
कोई इच्छा नहीं रहती है,
and doesn't have taste
ऐसा
for food,
नहीं कर सकता है वो,
cannot
तो
enjoy
क्या
his
वो भी
senses.
स्थित प्रज्ञ कहलाया
So
जाएगा?
can that person also
क्योंकि
be
उसमें भी ये
called a
लक्षण प्रतीत
sthita
होते हैं कि
pragya?
अभी कछुए की
Because
तरह
these
ये
symptoms
निर्भर
will
होगा,
be visible in that person also, that he will withdraw his
या
senses
मनुष्य
like
के
a
साथ अभी
tortoise,
उसका
because
संपर्क नहीं होता है,
he is not
तो
having
भी वो ये भी
contact
कर सकता है ऐसा,
of his senses
भगवान
with sense objects. So even a
इसलिए
proud person can also do that.
हमें संयम में
So in third chapter
रहना
also he will
चाहिए।
say,
कर्मेंद्रिय कर्मयोगम असक्त सविशेष मिथ्याचार से उच्यते, कि जो व्यक्ति अपनी
so in third chapter Bhagavan will say that
बाह्य इंद्रियों को
the
से
person who controls his
निग्रह करता है,
external senses
लेकिन
from the sense
अंतर
objects, but
विषय विषयत्व
internally
करता है, इंद्रिय
meditates
विषयान
on
संबंध,
sense enjoyment.
तो वो व्यक्ति मिथ्याचारी है।
Such a person is a mithyachari,
बाहर
a
की चीजों को
pretender.
दिखावा करता है, ऐसे भी लोग होते
He,
हैं जो दिखाते हैं
he
कि
shows something of
बाहरी चीजें
externally.
करना है,
But there are many people like this. They
तो
behave
अपने को
very
नियंत्रित करते हैं
sober
थोड़ी देर के लिए, कुछ
externally
समय के लिए, या
to
दिखावे के लिए,
impress others.
जब दूसरों के सामने है तो ऐसा करते हैं,
When they are in front of
तो
others,
अपना जो
and they behave
विशेषता
like
दिखाना है
this.
वो करते
But
हैं।
when nobody is seeing them, then
तो
they
ऐसा व्यक्ति
behave
भी देखने में तो ऐसे
whimsically.
ही लगता है कि वो भी स्थित प्रज्ञ हो
So
गया,
such a person
तो
on
उसके लिए
seeing
क्या
also
है
appears to be
तो
sthita pragya. So that's why
विषयानुरक्तो
Bhagavan says here.
निराहारस्य देहिनः रसवर्जं रसोप्यस्य परम दृष्ट्वा निवर्तते, यद्यपि संयम का अभ्यास
Translation:
करता हुआ व्यक्ति
although the sense
भोजन का
objects
त्याग
may
करता
be
है,
given up by an
परंतु उसके
embodied
बाद
being
उसकी
who is
आसक्ति
practicing
बनी रहती है,
abstinence, the
क्योंकि
attachment for them
परमात्मा
persists.
अर्थात भगवान
When,
का
however,
साक्षात्कार हो
there
जाता
is
है,
immediate
तो
realization of the
उसकी आसक्ति
Supreme,
भी
that is
छूट जाती है।
Bhagavan, even this attachment of his
तो कहते हैं कि
disappears.
केवल इंद्रियों को उनके विषय से हटाने
So
से
here he is
स्थित प्रज्ञ
saying
नहीं होता,
that simply by withdrawing
क्योंकि जब
senses
तक
from sense objects, he cannot be
हमारे
called a
अंदर
sthita
संस्कार
pragya,
रहेंगे,
because as long as we have the
तो हमारी
samskaras
इंद्रियां
within,
तो उन्हीं से चलती हैं,
our indriyas,
हमारा
they
पूरा
work
अंग
on being inspired by the samskaras
यंत्र
only.
है, हमारा
It
शरीर,
is our body is like a mechanical,
क्योंकि यहाँ पर
it's a
केवल
machine, a
इंद्रिय है,
system,
और
that
इंद्रियों
there
के
are
ऊपर
senses, there is the body, there is mind,
मन के ऊपर
above mind
बुद्धि,
there is
फिर अहंकार,
intelligence, then there is
और
ahankara,
उसके सब बेस में, आधार में
and the base
चित्त है जिसमें संस्कार
of
भरे
all
हैं।
this is the chitta, which contains the
तो जैसे हमारा
samskaras.
कंप्यूटर
Just like
कंप्यूटर
our,
में
we have
एक
this computer
हार्डवेयर है और एक
which has a
सॉफ्टवेयर है,
hardware and a software.
तो कंप्यूटर सॉफ्टवेयर से चलता है,
So computer
और जो
operates on
कीबोर्ड
software.
वगैरह इसकी जैसे इंद्रियां हैं,
This keyboard,
और
etc.,
स्क्रीन जैसे मन है,
are the senses,
तो
and the
उसमें
screen is
जो
like the
प्रोग्राम लिखा
mind,
हुआ है वो
and
संस्कार है,
the program inside
और
that is like the
मेमोरी
samskaras.
होती है, हार्ड डिस्क,
So there is hard disk
और
memory,
उनसे ये चलता है, तो जब तक हार्ड
and it
डिस्क में
works on
कोई
this. So
प्रोग्राम
as
नहीं
long
होता
as
है
there
तो
are
वो चलता
programs in
रहेगा,
the hard disk, it will
क्योंकि
function.
प्रोग्राम तो अंदर
You
है,
can stop it for some time, but
तो
still the
इसी प्रकार
program is
जब
there
तक
within.
संस्कार रहेंगे,
Similarly, as long as we have the
जब तक
samskaras
हमारे
inside,
इंद्रियों में रस रहेगा,
meaning as long as we have taste for the sense objects,
तो तब तक हमारी
till
इंद्रियां
then
कभी भी उसमें जा सकती हैं।
our senses have chance of
तो
again
इसलिए
getting
कहते हैं
attracted
कि
to them.
जो व्यक्ति निराहार है,
That's why it is said here, the
जो
person who
विषय
is
से
nirahar,
निग्रह कर रहा है,
one who has withdrawn,
उसका
who is withdrawing
रस
himself
रहता है,
from the sense
विषय
objects,
तो
although he may withdraw externally,
विषय
but
तो
still
उसके
the
मन
taste
में नहीं होता है,
remains.
लेकिन उसके अंदर
Although
उसमें
the
रस
senses
है,
are not
रस
contacting
मतलब राग
the
यानी
sense
आसक्ति
objects,
रहती
but
है,
the senses contain the rasa, means
तो
the
उसको
taste. It
कभी भी
means they have the
जा
attachment.
सकता है।
Still, attachment is still there for the
कोई
sense objects,
बलवान है,
and they can
विशेषज्ञानी
make
है,
him fall down
तो
anytime.
उसको देखकर फिर आपकी
So
इच्छा
if he
होगी
will again sense
उसको
objects if
करने के लिए,
come in front of him,
इंद्रिय
then again he will get the desire to enjoy them.
तो इसी के लिए वो कहते हैं कि उसका
So
जो
that's why he says
मूल है उसको दूर करना है,
that you have to get rid
रस
of
है,
the
यानी कि जो
root
आसक्ति बैठी हुई है, राग बैठा
problem
हुआ है,
of all this,
उससे
which is the
निवृत्त
attachment.
करना है।
You have to get
और
rid
वो
of that attachment for sense
तब प्रारंभ
objects.
होगा जब
And when will that
कोई
attachment,
अच्छा रस
that
मिलेगा,
detachment happen? That will happen when we have a
जिसके
higher
पास
taste,
क्या हमारे पास
a superior
इतनी
rasa.
सुविधा है
because this is our nature,
उसको हम
that if
करते
we
हैं।
have some facility with us,
अगर
we utilize
हमें
it.
उससे अच्छी सुविधा मिल
But
जाए
if we get a better
तो हम उसको
facility,
छोड़कर
then we
दूसरों
give up the inferior one and we accept
हमारा
the
अगर
superior one.
कोई यंत्र है, कार
If
है,
we have a machine, a car,
मोबाइल फ़ोन है या
or
घर है,
mobile
कुछ
phone,
भी
or any home, or anything,
ऐसा है, उसके उससे अगर हमको उत्कृष्ट वस्तु
if we
प्राप्त हो
get
जाए
a better
तो
version of
हम
what we have
उसको
currently,
क्यों
then
छोड़ेंगे।
we can give up the previous one.
इसलिए
Otherwise, why
अगर
shall we
हमें
give
किसी
up the
वस्तु का
previous
राग
one?
है, किसी
So
विषय में
that
हमारी
similarly,
आसक्ति
if
है,
we have attachment to some
और
object,
आसक्ति का मतलब है कि हमारा उसमें महत्व बैठा हुआ
and
है,
having
हम उसको
attachment
अच्छा मानते हैं,
means that we
उससे हमको
consider it good, important,
आनंद सुख की प्राप्ति होती है,
because we get some pleasure from that. That is why we have attachment for
तो
it.
उसमें हम क्यों राग करेंगे।
We do not have
प्रिय
attachment for
सखा,
something from which we do not get pleasure.
तो उसमें
Rather,
हम
we hate
राग
that.
इसलिए करते हैं कि
So we
उससे
have
हमको
raga or
सुख प्राप्त
attachment
होता है,
in an object only when we
और अगर
get
वही
some pleasure
सुख
out of it.
उससे अधिक गुणा,
And
अधिक
same
मात्रा में
sukha, if we can get
दूसरे
the same pleasure
साधन से मिल
in
रहा है
a
तो फिर हम
much
उसमें राग
bigger
क्यों करेंगे।
quantity in somewhere else,
तो
then we
इसलिए
will give up the attachment to the previous one.
तो
This is
इसलिए कहते
natural.
हैं कि परम दृष्टवा
That's why Bhagavan is telling here,
ऐसा
param
व्यवहार
drishtva
करने वाला
nivartate,
आसक्ति वो
that
व्यक्ति तभी जाएगा
that this
जब उसको
attachment will go away
उत्कृष्ट
only
रस मिलेगा।
when we will
तो
get
उसमें
taste
ऐसा
of
होता है
superior or the
कि
best rasa, and that
तो
is
रस
only
में
possible from
रस
Bhagavan, because
रस रस
Bhagavan
के
is rasa
आनंद के
personified.
समूह है, आनंद के सागर हैं,
He is the ocean
सच्चिदानंद
of
विग्रह हैं।
Ananda. He is Satchidananda
तो हमें
Vigraha.
वहाँ से आनंद मिलेगा
So when we will start deriving Ananda from
भगवान के
him,
अनुभव से,
from his bhakti,
तो
from
फिर
his experience,
हम इस
from his
निकृष्ट
realization,
रस को छोड़ देंगे।
then we will give
तो
up
आगे
this
गीता में भगवान बताते हैं
inferior
इस बात को,
rasa.
बाह्य स्पर्शे स्वशक्त्वात्मा
Later also in Gita, Bhagavan will
आत्मनि
say
विन्दति आत्मनि यत् सुखम स ब्रह्म योग युक्तात्मा सुखम अक्षयम अश्नुते। कि दो प्रकार से सुख मिलते हैं, एक बाह्य
that happिनेस is of two
सुख
types.
मिलता है
One is by external
और एक
sense objects, and the other
छोड़कर
is
अंदर से मतलब
by giving them up and
भगवान
getting
की तरफ से
happiness
आता है,
internally. Internally means which
जो
is
आध्यात्मिक
coming
सुख है।
from Bhagavan, that is spiritual
तो
pleasure.
आध्यात्मिक सुख जो है
So this spiritual pleasure
वो विषयों पर निर्भर नहीं करता है,
does not depend on sense objects.
और जब वो सुख मिलने लगता है
When we start
तो
deriving
उससे
that
हमारी
pleasure,
आसक्ति छूटती है।
then we give up the attachment
तो इसलिए
for
कहते हैं
this
बाह्य
lower
स्पर्शे
pleasure to
स्वशक्त्वा,
sense
इसमें
from
हमारी
sense objects.
असक्तता, हमारी आसक्ति बाह्य विषयों में समाप्त हो जाती है।
Then we lose the attachment for the
और
external sense objects.
उसका कारण यही है कि
And the cause
अंदर
of
से
that is
सुख प्राप्त होता
that
है।
we are getting happiness from
तो
within.
वो सुख को कहते हैं कि सुखम अक्षयम अश्नुते, वो सुख जो है वो अक्षय है,
And that pleasure
यानी कि
is
वो किसी
designated by Bhagavan
नाश
as
नहीं होता,
Akshaya, meaning it is
सतत
imperishable,
मिलता है।
it is eternal.
ये जो विषय का सुख है ये कभी
This
मिलता है, कभी नहीं
pleasure
मिलता है, और
of
जब
sense
मिलता है तो
objects,
बहुत
it
कम
comes sometimes and doesn't come at other
कम
times.
मात्रा में
And
मिलता है।
whatever we get also, that is in
इसलिए
insignificant
यहाँ पे कहते
quantity.
हैं कि परम दृष्टवा
So that's
निवर्तते,
why here he is telling
परमात्मा
param
को
drishtva nivartate. Here param means paramatma
उसका
or
परम
Bhagavan,
को अनुभव करना,
and drishtva means
तो फिर उसको
experiencing him, realizing him. So then the lower pleasure stops.
इसको हमें ठीक से समझना है, क्योंकि
So we
इसको
have to
समझने के
understand
लिए
this
प्रयत्न करें।
properly,
अगर हमको इसको
because
नहीं
when we
समझेंगे
understand this properly, then only we will act
तो
upon
जीव
it.
जो है
If we do not have knowledge of
रस
this,
प्राप्त करना चाहता है,
so every
जहाँ
jiva
उसको रस
wants
मिलेगा वहाँ
to
वो जाएगा,
derive rasa. Wherever jiva gets
केवल
rasa, jiva
उसका
goes there. No, even if
चाहे
it is
उसका
of very inferior grade,
परिणाम दुखदायी क्यों ना हो,
even if it later
उसको करना है,
results into
क्योंकि
misery,
हमारी
still the jiva
समस्त
wants to
इंद्रियां
attain
उसको
that,
प्राप्त करना
because
चाहती हैं।
naturally we have this desire for
क्योंकि हम
attaining ananda,
भौतिक वस्तु नहीं है, हम
because
आध्यात्मिक
we are
वस्तु
not
हैं।
material
इसलिए
particle,
भगवान ने इस
we are
अध्याय में बताया
spiritual
था कि ये
being.
शरीर से भिन्न है,
Earlier also Bhagavan had told
क्योंकि
that we are different
वास्तव
from
में
the
जीव
body.
उसको ही प्राप्त करना चाहता है,
So that is why actually every jiva is trying to
उसको ऐसा
attain
लगता है
that
कि
rasa
वो रस
only.
ढूंढता है,
Any
चाहे
activity that
उसका
we perform, in that we try to find the rasa, whether it is a relationship or
रस
food or any
रस
other
ढूंढता है।
activity, in that we see that
लेकिन
rasa
जब हमें
only.
ज्ञान हो जाएगा कि एक
But
ऐसा
if we
स्थान
get
है
the
जहाँ से
knowledge
हमको
that
सतत
there is also a
रस
place
मिलेगा,
from where we can eternally get rasa, and the rasa of the highest grade, then we will be able to give up this lowest form of rasa. So that is what is being explained by Bhagavan here. So actually, the real cause of bondage is this rasa. Rasa means to taste. Actually, rasa is the quality of tongue. We get knowledge from the tongue through this medium of rasa. But rasa word comes from other senses also. The rasa that we get from tongue, why is it used here? That because nirahar word is used. Nirahar means fasting. Ahar means to eat, and nirahar means fasting. So one more meaning is that if a person gives up eating, then he will lose all the rasa. If a person is hungry and you tell him listen to nice music, play video game, sit in AC room, so he will not get any pleasure from all that because he is suffering out of hunger. There is no there is no misery like hunger. Hunger is the worst form of misery. If body does not get food, then the person will lose taste in everything else also. The person will not get taste anywhere else. And when you get food, then all the senses get energized and they get the strength to enjoy sense objects because we get nourishment through food only. That is also a reason why Nirahar word is used in this verse. In Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, there is a story that a disciple went to his guru to get education, and the guru wanted to educate him. So the guru asked him what all you have learnt earlier. So he said that because earlier the students used to memorize Vedas and later they used to learn the darshanas. First of all, study, memorize the Vedas, at least your own branch, and then study the darshanas. So he said that, yes, I remember all that. So then the guru asked him to do fasting for 15 days. Earlier, the gurus were like this. Nowadays, if a guru tells you to fast for one time, also the disciple will run away. So the guru asked him to fast for 15 days and then come. So he did that, and his body lost all the energy. He came to the guru, and then the guru asked him, now tell what all you remember. So then the disciple replied that now I do not remember anything. I see only food. I don't have anything in my mind except food. I forgot all the Vedas, etc. So whatever memory capacity we have, it is due to food. And food is very important also.
स्मृति विप्रलम्ब है ग्रंथ मोक्ष तो आहार बहुत महत्वपूर्ण चीज है इसलिए
So food is very important. That's why in our dharma there are a lot of instructions on food. So here also Bhagavan is speaking that if you will do fasting, you will not engage with sense objects, but that does not mean you will lose attachment, because again when you will see food, you will run after that because the samskaras are still sitting inside. Like a horse, if you do not feed the horse for few days, it will lose the energy, but if you again feed the horse will again start running. So our senses are like horses. If when they become weak, they do not run, but when they become strong, they start running again. So the attachment lies within. So simply restraining the senses from sense objects is not a solution. We have to see how to solve the problem of attachment which is lying within. And that is possible by experiencing, by realizing Bhagavan. Otherwise, big people, they also have fallen down. I had read a
एक
story
नट था,
that uh,
तो उसको बहुत
there
कला
was
थी,
an actor.
ऐसी भी कला
He
आती है
had lot of
कि वो
skills.
समाधि लगा के बैठ जाएंगे।
He had such skills that he could just sit in samadhi.
मैंने भी देखा है इसको,
This is
अनेक
called
आदमियों को देखा
Jada
है।
Samadhi. I have also seen that
तो वो
a person
गद्दे
used to
होते
come
हैं,
in Vrindavan. He used to dig
और
a
गद्दे
pit,
गड्ढा गड्ढा
and
खोद के फिर वो
after digging the pit,
टांग
he
ऊपर
used
और सीना
to
नीचे, सीधा
sit
गड्ढे में
for
डालता है,
meditation upside
दूसरा
down.
आदमी उसको
His head
खींचता
was
है
inside the pit
मिट्टी से,
and legs were upwards. And when his head was in the pit, somebody would again cover the pit,
क्या करता
so he would not be able to breathe. And in this
है, इससे उसकी
situation,
कमाई हो
he
जाती है
would keep
लोगों की।
standing like this upside down for
तो
hours
इससे
together.
क्या होता है
And
कि
then he got lot of income through this.
उसका अंदर का रस तो नहीं
So
खत्म
this
होता
is a
उसका,
material activity. He has
तो
not
ऐसे
lost the
अनेक कथा
taste
हैं
from inside.
इस प्रकार
He is
करके
just doing it for
राजा के
money.
पास
So
गया
similarly, I read a
और उस
story
राजा
that
ने
like
उसको
this, there was a
समाधि
person
लगा
who
दी।
had lot of skills.
उसने
He
6 महीने में
went to the king,
जो कि
and
मैंने
he told the king, I can
और मैं
sit in
समाधि लगा के
samadhi for
बैठूंगा,
6 months
तो
without eating
राजा
or
ने कहा
drinking
अच्छा।
anything.
उसने कहा अगर
So
तुम
the
इसको
king was
6 महीने करोगे
surprised.
ठीक है,
Though the king told
तो
that
राजा
how
ने
can you
पैसे
live
दिए
without
अपने
sitting for
देने
without
के लिए
eating for 6 months?
इनाम में।
If you can do that, I
तो
will
उसने
give
बताया
you
अगर तुम
5 villages
करोगे
and
तो मैं उसको
an
बंद
elephant
करने के लिए,
as prize.
तो 6 महीने बाद खोलेंगे तुम्हें।
So he was locked inside a room
तो
for
अनेक
six
जन्म से
months,
अपनी जो है जड़ समाधि लगाकर बैठा
and then
रहता
he
है,
was sitting in Jada
क्योंकि
Samadhi
उसको कोई ज्ञान नहीं है।
for, and he had no awareness of what was
इसी
happening
तरह हुआ कि
outside.
उस राजा के
Now, in the
जो
midst of all
दूसरे जो
this,
पड़ोसी राजा ने
what happened was that the neighboring kingdom had attacked this
लूट
king,
लिया उसको,
and then the
और
neighboring king
राजा
won over this kingdom,
राजा
and
जंगल में चला गया, दूसरा
he
राजा आ गया
sent the king away to the forest. So now there
दूसरे
was
राजा
a
के
new
साथ
king,
देखभाल
and
करने
the new king surveyed everything.
उन्होंने भी उसकी समाधि
He
लगाई।
surveyed the palace, the
तो
wealth,
एक कमरा था,
everything.
उसमें बहुत बड़ा
So
ताला
he
लगा
saw
था,
one room
उसने
which
गया
had a
अंदर
big
देखने,
lock, and he
तो उसने
told that
दबाया,
please open this room.
अंदर
The
देखा
room
तो
was opened, and they saw inside there was a yogi.
दाढ़ी वाड़ी बढ़ी हुई है,
He
बाल
had a long beard,
बड़े हुए, कई महीने हो गए,
hair had grown very long, nails had
उसने
grown
प्रणाम
big.
किया, अरे ये तो
So the king paid
बहुत बड़ा संत है,
obeisances to the yogi
तो इसकी तो
and
कृपा
thought
होगी,
that he is a big
तो उसने
saint, so I should get his mercy.
छेड़ा नहीं, तो
So the king
उसने
did not disturb the saint,
फिर जब उसको
because the
6 महीने
saint
हो
was
गए
because the person was still
तो
in
राजा
meditation. So when 6 months were over, then the king came
राजा ने
there,
उसको प्रणाम किया,
and he
उसने
paid
कहा
obeisances to
राजा
the
मेरे 6 महीने
person,
पूरे हो गए, मुझे
and the person
अपना
said
और हाथी दीजिए।
that my
राजा
six
तो
months
कुछ
are
नहीं,
over.
उसको क्या पता
Now
था,
give me my
उसने कहा ये क्या बोल रहा है,
5 villages and the elephant
कहता
which you
मैंने
had
तुम्हें कहा
promised.
था ना, वो
So
वो भूल गया कि कौन सा राजा
the
एक ही
king
राजा
did
है
not
मेरे साथ।
knew about all this, and he was
तब
asking
उसको पता लगा कि ये तो ऐसा
others, and then he realized
समाधि की कला है।
that he was just his meditation was just
कहने का
a
मतलब
skill.
है कि उसका विषय तो उसने
So the point
छोड़
is
दिया 6 महीने के
that
लिए, विषय
six, although the person was restrained for six
अंदर जो
months
उसका
from external sense objects,
भाव था,
but the
मन था,
attachment that he had
वहीं
within
बैठा
for
रहा,
obtaining those five
उसमें विचलित नहीं
villages,
हुआ।
that attachment was still
तो
there.
इस प्रकार
So
की
he did
कलाएं
not
बहुत
get
हैं,
rid of that
तो
attachment.
मैंने देखी
So
थी
like this, many
बहुत
people
सारे
have
लोग किए हैं
various skills,
अपने यहाँ
and I
वृंदावन
have
में।
personally experienced this. I have seen people doing all this. There was a sadhu earlier in
बहुत
Vrindavan.
समय के पहले भाई, ये
It's a long time back.
1988 के आसपास की बात है,
Around this
साधु
is
रहते
around
थे
was around
इधर
1988
गोपीनाथ बाजार में, उनका
in
छोटा सा
Gopinath Bazaar.
कुटिया थी,
He had a
मैं
small
वहीं
hut.
गया,
So I went to him.
मैं गया तो
Somebody told me about
उसने
him.
ऐसी
So I went to
समाधि
him.
उन्होंने मेरे यहाँ
So he had
लगाई
such a
कि
skill. He just
मैं तुरंत
pressed me
होश
here
में गया,
with two fingers, and immediately
उसने
I
ऐसा
fell
किया,
unconscious. He just pressed me with two fingers in my neck here,
उसके बाद में मैं
and
होश में
I
था,
just lost all sense. I became unconscious, and I had no
अब तो मैं
sense of
ऐसी
where I
समाधि में पड़ा
was.
रहूंगा,
So, like
उसको
that, who
पता
knows?
नहीं
I
चला
could
कि
have
ये
lied there for 6 months in that situation, like a person goes in
ऐसे
deep
एक बार नहीं,
sleep.
उसने 3-4 बार करके दिखाया मेरे को।
And not just once, he showed this skill to me
अब जब
three to
वो
four
होने लगा था
times.
तो धीरे धीरे
When he
धीरे
used to press
चेतना
me
समाधि
with
में
his
चली
finger
गई,
like this, and slowly I used to
खत्म
lose
होने लगा
my
ना,
consciousness. I have personally experienced this.
तो उससे निराहार हो गए। अब आप
So then, like
कल्पना
this,
करो,
I
क्या
became
था
Nirahar.
मेरे को पता भी नहीं चला
Now it
कब
was
हो गया,
depending on him when he would wake me up, because I would not even realize how much time would have passed.
ऐसे ही।
So he used to then wake me up,
तो
and then again I
ऐसा
was
होता
back
है
to
कि
normal situation. So this is called Jada Samadhi.
तो इस प्रकार, क्योंकि
Because when any object is explained by its symptom or being defined, Bhagavan was asked that who is a sthita pragya, that a person who is sthita pragya, whose intelligence is stable, what are his symptoms? So Bhagavan has explained
उसके जो मनोगत काम है
that all the karma which he has in the mind, because these desires are in the mind, externally they appear as in the form of activities. So when a person gives up these desires, then the person is called sthita pragya. So it is not just about external behavior.
It is necessary but not sufficient condition. के निराहार होना ये तो है लेकिन ये
So this condition of restraining from sense objects is necessary, but it is not sufficient. It is not a sufficient symptom to prove that a person has actually lost the taste. That's what Bhagavan is explaining here. And as such, for restraining from sense objects, tongue plays a very important role. Because as long as we do not have restraint or control on tongue, it is not possible to control any other sense. When Bhagavan explained to was giving instructions to Uddhavji in the 11th canto of Bhagavatam, there he explained.
जितम सर्वम जिते रस कि जब तक आदमी अपनी
as long as a person does not control his tongue,
तब तक वो किसी पर भी नियंत्रण नहीं कर सकता.
till then the person will not be able to control any other sense. That's why the fasting and all rituals which are instructed in dharma, they are not just from health point of view, they are also necessary from this point of view, that until and unless we practice controlling our tongue, we will not be able to control any other sense organ. One reason is that we get all the energy from food, and second is that controlling the tongue is the most difficult of all the controlling all the sense organs, because it is the tongue is a knowledge acquiring sense as well as action performing sense also. It's a gyanendriya and karmendriya both. It gives us knowledge of the taste as well as we can it is used for speaking. So it is very difficult to control. That's why Sri Rup Goswami says Vacho Vegam, and controlling the taste. So this is very important on the spiritual path. Nowadays people do not understand this, and they place lot of emphasis on food, and whatever you want to do, you find some excuse to prove that. So mostly people nowadays, the spiritualists, the sadhakas, they spend lot of time on food. But so we have to understand that we have to control that. And the word rasa is also very important. Rasa means taste. That's why tongue is known as rasana, because we taste through that. But those who have studied Ayurveda, they also know that when we eat food, then the digestion process happens at 6 levels. The first element that is formed from the food, that is also called rasa, because it pervades the entire every part of the body. From that we get blood, etc. till semen. So it begins with rasa. And then bhava, the emotions are also called rasa, because it is there in rasa shastra. In Ayurveda also there is a rasa shastra by which we make rasayana, chemicals. And there is a rasa shastra in Sahitya, literature also, like Virya, Bhakti Rasa, Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya. They are also rasa. So all these three are interconnected, because our thinking also works on rasa. Bhakti rasa is a different thing, but our emotions, they are also dependent on rasa. Like here we have 6 types of rasas
और
in food,
हमारे श्री रूप गोस्वामी जी ने
and our Sri Rupa
12
Goswami
प्रकार के रस
he has explained 12 types of rasas in bhakti.
तो उनका भी आपस में संबंध है, इसलिए वहां भी
So they
मधुर
are
रस
also interconnected because there also he says madhur
जिस
rasa.
रस है उनमें भी मधुर रस है,
Here in the 6 rasas in Ayurveda also we have madhur rasa,
मधुर, और मधुर रस वहां
that
पे
is the
सबसे
sweet taste.
सर्वोच्च माना गया है।
And there in bhakti also the madhur or madhurya rasa has been considered the
सबकी इच्छा
topmost.
रहती है ना,
And in terms of food also everybody likes
सबकी
sweet taste.
रहती है ना,
Everybody has
रहती है ना,
taste for sweet
दूसरे
items.
रस भी लेते हैं लेकिन मधुर रस
Although we taste other rasas
में
also,
आनंद आता है।
but there is special
इसलिए
pleasure
संसार
in sweet
से
items.
यानी कि सबसे
So that
ज्यादा
is also connected
रस
with
जो है
Preeti,
इस
meaning
रस में है,
that the highest
ये स्वीट
taste
है,
is in this rasa, that is Madhurya rasa.
नियंत्रण करना
It is highest.
यहाँ इसकी
So
दृष्टि
we
से
have to control
महत्वपूर्ण है।
that. From that point of view also it is important here.
तो इसका सार बात इतना ही है
So the summary, the essence of this verse is
से
that
ही
simply by
हमारा
externally restraining
बुद्धि स्थिर नहीं होती,
from sense
बुद्धि
objects
को
we cannot
अस्थिर
make our intelligence stable,
करना है,
because what
नियंत्रण
makes the what destabilizes the intelligence is our desires, our
हमारे
attachment.
मन में
They
किसी
disturb our
चीज की
intelligence.
इच्छा हो जाती है,
When you get a desire
उद्वेलित
for
करती है,
eating sweet,
आपको कोई
then
बोल
how
दे
much we become disturbed.
और कह दे
If
इसको
you
मत
have
खाओ,
a favorite food,
तो
doctor
उसमें दुख हो
says
जाता है,
don't eat, then you get
उसकी
desire
इच्छा
to
होती
eat
है,
that.
गुस्से में बाद में अब भूल जाते हैं,
Although it happens after some time,
उसका
you
रस
forget that.
समाप्त हो जाता है। वो तब होता
The
है अगर हम
rasa goes
इच्छा
away.
से कर लेते हैं
That will
तो।
happen
इसलिए
if you are
जब तक
determined.
इसे बुद्धि से निश्चय नहीं करेंगे तब तक
As
इसमें
until
इच्छा
and unless you
हमारी
determine,
बुद्धि को
you make your
डावाडोल
intelligence
करता
fixed
रहेगा।
up, these desires,
तो
attachments,
परम
they will
दृष्टवा लेकिन
keep disturbing you. So
परमात्मा
you have to become fixed up in
का
intelligence.
दर्शन हो जाता है, फिर वो समाप्त हो जाता है।
So when the person gets
तो इसका
darshan of
ज्ञान का, इसका
Paramatma,
दर्शन का
he
मतलब ये है।
realizes Bhagavan, then this attachment goes
तो
away.
इसको आप इस प्रकार भी समझ सकते हैं कि जैसे
So we can also
रस्सी
understand it like this,
और
that
रस्सी
suppose we have a
गलती
rope
से सांप समझ
and
लेते हैं,
you mistake it to be a snake.
लेकिन जब आपको रस्सी का ज्ञान हो जाएगा
So when you get knowledge
तो
of the
सांप
rope,
समझे तो समाप्त हो जाएगा।
then the
तो
knowledge
इसी
of
प्रकार अगर
snake will go
ठीक
away.
से हमको ये ज्ञान भी हो जाए कि हमारी इंद्रियां किस प्रकार काम करती हैं,
Similarly, if we get the correct knowledge that how our senses operate, how intelligence functions,
हमारा
and how
शरीर चलता है,
our body
और
works
उसके ऊपर
in this
आत्मा है
system, and above
जो
all, there is
हमारा जो
Atma,
मूल व्यक्तित्व है वो
and
आत्मा
our
ही है।
fundamental identity is that we are
जब हमको
Atma.
ज्ञान हो जाएगा और इस संसार का भी
When we
ज्ञान
will
हो
have
जाएगा
knowledge
कि
of
हम वास्तव में
our
सुख पा रहे
Swarup
हैं, भौतिक
and
सुख
this
है, आत्मिक
world,
सुख है नहीं,
then we will realize
वास्तविक
that
सुख
what we are considering material pleasure
जिसको आप
is not pleasure
रस्सी को जिसको
actually.
आप सांप समझ रहे हैं वो सांप
You are
नहीं है,
mistaking the rope for a snake. It is not
वास्तव में
actually a snake.
यही संस्पर्श जब होगा दुख योनि यही होते, वो वास्तव में दुख के कारण है।
They are actually
ये जब
sources of
ज्ञान
misery.
हमको सही से हो जाएगा तो हमारी
So
सारी
when we will
इंद्रियां
get the correct knowledge, then we will lose taste for that
तो इसी
material
का
pleasure.
ये भी एक अर्थ है परम दृष्टवा
So that is also a meaning
कि
of
जब
param drishtva
वास्तविक
nivartate.
वस्तु को समझ लेंगे,
That
संसार
when
को,
we will understand the truth
संसार
of
दुनिया
this
भी है
world,
जैसे सांप
the
है,
world is not false.
वो सांप नहीं है,
Just
रस्सी
like
ऐसा नहीं है कि कुछ भी नहीं है,
snake is not
संसार है,
false in the sense
सब
that
उन्हीं की
it is
सृष्टि
not
है,
that there is no snake.
सब उन्हीं
So
की
this
सृष्टि से
world,
बना है।
this world is also
तो
not
जब ज्ञान
false.
हो
It is
जाएगा तो
energy
हमारे
of
अंदर से
made by
जो
energy of Bhagavan only.
भोग्य भाव है ये समाप्त हो जाएगा।
So when
तो
we will
संसार
realize
से
the
आने
truth,
पर है
we will
जो
lose
समस्या
the
हमारे
taste
जो
for
अहंकार
enjoying
है,
this world. The real
जो
problem is
चित्त है,
our
जो गहराई
material
है,
ego, the knot
हमारी
of
आत्मा के अंदर भी
the
एक अहम वृत्ति
chit
है,
and the jada.
और ये जो
The
भौतिक
Atma
शरीर है
also
इसमें
has
भी
a sense of aham,
एक
I-ness.
भौतिक अहम है।
And
इन
this
दोनों
in
का
this
आपस में
body also
मिलना
there is sense of I-ness.
जैसे
And this
सत्यनारायण
both the sense of I-ness,
पार्टी
there is a knot tied.
एक हो जाती
Like
है,
we have coalition government
तो ऐसे
between
ये
two
दोनों जो है
parties.
इन्होंने गठबंधन कर लिया,
So now there is a knot or a coalition, a combined government
ये
of the
एक
both the
है,
sense of
मैं नहीं
I-ness.
मानता है।
And they have
और जो
mixed up so
गठबंधनकर्ता
much,
उनके तो अपने
they
अपने
have tied so strongly that
एजेंडे
we do
हैं
not consider them separately.
जिसको लिए वो मिलते हैं, लेकिन यहाँ पे ऐसे मिल जाते हैं वो
Here they have tied with each other so strongly that is if as it is as if like sugar has got dissolved in water, now the sugar cannot be seen. Similarly, the aham of the atma, the I-ness of atma and the I-ness of the body, they have tied together so strongly. So now there is attachment.
उसको हमें समझना है
So that is what we have to understand.
कि हमारी मूल सत्ता क्या है,
That what is our fundamental, the foundation of our existence.
सोच्यानंद सोचस्तुम
That is what Bhagavan is trying to explain here.
किया था, क्योंकि जो मूल समस्या है वो
He
वहीं से
started
होती है।
explaining from this point only in the Ashocyan verse that is the knot of the chit and jada, the I-ness of atma and I-ness of the body. So because of that, whatever actions we are performing, whatever we are dealing, it happens on the basis of mistaking the rope to be snake. Because if we mistake the rope to be snake, we will deal with it as if it is a snake only. So similarly, we have considered this world as the object of our enjoyment, and we have considered ourselves as the enjoyer, which is not the truth. Because who is the real bhokta? It is the atma or the body. The body cannot enjoy independently, and even if the body can enjoy, then we are anyway not the body. Just like you are not the car, and you simply keep cleaning the car and do not eat anything yourself, then what benefit do you get? So without the atma, the body has no capacity to enjoy. So that is also one meaning here, that param nirdištva nivartate, that when a person understands the tattva, the truth, param can be taken from the view of bhakti, that is Bhagavan, or Paramatma, and from Gyanmarg point of view also as Param Tattva. Because when the person will get that knowledge, then he will lose the attachment in all these material pleasures in this world.
जब हम इंद्रियों को इस प्रकार से नियंत्रण में लाना चाहते हैं,
But when we wish to control our senses like this, that is also not easy,
प्रयत्न करना पड़ता है,
because we have to work hard for that. Because we have this old habit,
जिस चीज का अभ्यास होता है उसको छोड़ना
whatever
आसान नहीं होता।
habit we have, it is very difficult to give it up.
इसलिए यहाँ भगवान इस बात
So that is why here also Bhagavan is telling,
पुरुषस्य विपश्चितः इंद्रियाणि प्रमाथीनि हरन्ति प्रस्भं मनः।
translation, O son of Kunti, certainly the turbulent senses forcibly snatch away the mind even of a wise person who is striving for liberation.
तो ये इंद्रियों को ऐसे कोई सस्ते में मत लेना।
So do not take these senses lightly, they are extremely strong.
एक कथा पढ़ी थी, एक श्लोक
There is a verse I had read.
में भी आता है,
This is comes up in Manusmriti also, in Srimad Bhagavatam also.
बलवान इंद्रिय ग्रामो विद्वांसमपि कर्षति, कि एक व्यक्ति को बहुत सावधान
That
रहना
a
चाहिए,
person should be very careful, because in the senses are very strong,
इंद्रियां भी उसको गिरा
and even a very wise person's senses can make him fall down. That's why Shastra advises the person that sit do not sit alone on the same seat with your mother, sister, or daughter. So the story is, this verse is by Vyasdev. Vyasdev was teaching this,
महत्व को बता रहे थे,
and he was explaining the importance of this instruction, that how senses are so strong. So he has one disciple, Jaimini. He was a great acharya of Samaved and great philosopher. He gave the Purumimamsa Sutras,
प्रमुख शिष्य हैं व्यास जी।
and he was a very prominent disciple of Sri Vyasadeva.
बड़ा ये गर्व था कि
So he had this ego that I have won over my senses.
श्लोक ये हमको सावधान करने के लिए
So what my guru is telling.
कभी नहीं करना चाहिए कि
So this verse is meant to make us to caution us that we should not start thinking that we have become so great that we have started controlling our senses. We have won over our senses, because we should remember we are in the material world. It is made of Bhagavan's Maya, and it can pull us anytime.
नियंत्रण करके
So
रहता है,
Jaimini,
तो इसलिए विद्वांसम अपि करसति की जगह न विद्वांसम करसति ऐसा श्लोक होना चाहिए, इसमें थोड़ा बदलाव कर
so
दिया।
Jaimini proposed to
व्यास ने
change
कहा ठीक है,
this
मैं
verse.
सोचता
So
हूँ।
Vyasadeva said, okay, instead of Vidwan, you want na Vidwan.
उन्होंने अपने
Okay, I'll think over it. And then he stopped his lecture.
तो जैमिनी जी अपनी कुटिया में चले गए।
So Jaimini ji, he went to his hut. This was happening in Badrik ashram.
अपनी कुटिया में रहते थे।
Every disciple was living in his own hut.
एकदम से बादल आए,
So this was, now there was evening, and there were dark
बरसात
clouds,
का मौसम हो,
and it was dark, like now we have rainy season, and it was raining very heavily,
पहाड़ी
and loud thunder, and in the mountainous areas it becomes very cold.
तो किसी ने
So
दरवाजा
Jaimini ji was sitting in his hut,
जोर से बारिश हो रही,
closing the door. So somebody knocked at the door, and when he opened the door,
स्त्री उनके दरवाजे
and he found a very young girl standing outside the door, and her clothes were all wet, and it was night time, and Jaimini Rishi asked her that, please tell, what do you want? So she said that I forgotten the way to my village, so I don't know how to go in this weather, so can you please give me shelter for one night in your hut?
रखना तो ठीक नहीं है,
So Jaimini ji said that it is not proper for me to give you shelter in the hut, but nearby there is another hut, so you please stay there.
आपकी बहुत बड़ी कृपा होगी।
So she replied that, okay, I consider it as your mercy, and I will spend the night there, but my clothes have become wet. I am feeling very cold. If you have some clothes, if you and you can kindly give them to me,
चादर दे दी,
I will dry my clothes, wear those other clothes. So Jaimini ji gave some chadar.
साड़ी को सुखाया वहां पर,
So she took that chadar, she wore that, and
साड़ी पहन के पास वाली कुटिया में चले गए। तो अब जैमिनी जी ने उनको
then
देखा,
she dried her clothes, and then took and went to that hut. So Jaimini was watching all this, watching her doing all this, drying her clothes and all that. And then he started becoming agitated in his mind.
मन में आया कि अरे यार
So she went. So then Jaimini thought that if she would have stayed here, it would have been better.
अगर चाहें तो यहाँ भी सो सकती हैं, यहाँ आग भी जल रही है,
So then he said that if you want, you can sleep here
वो
also,
ज्यादा जोर भी देने
because there is fire.
सोचे कि कैसा साधु है,
So he did not want to pressurize her also, because he was worried she would think, what type of sadhu is this? So then he gave the excuse, some logic, that there are wild animals here,
कुंडी बंद
so better you rest in my hut. So she said that, no, I will, in that other hut, I will latch the door from inside. So Jaimini was giving all this logic, but his mind was anyway agitated. So she went and closed the hut from within. Now Jaimini was lying here on the bed. Now she had entered his mind like a Mohini Murti,
मोहिनी का दर्शन हुआ था,
like when Shivji, Bhagwan Shiva, got darshan of Mohini. So now same thing happened here also.
करवट बदलने, और जब
So now Jaimini was agitated, and he was not able to sleep, because he was continuously visualizing her only in his imagination. So finally he got up from the bed. Then he went to the other hut. He knocked at the door. There was no reply from inside. So he thought maybe she has gone away. So then he knocked repeatedly. Then she replied,
कौन है, बोला मैं जैमिनी,
who is he? So then Jaimini said, it is me, Jaimini. So then she asked, what do you want now? I am alone in this hut. So then he said that, no, no, open the door. So she said that, no, I am a chaste woman, and it is not appropriate for me to open the hut at night at this time. So Jaimini said, no, I have to speak something very important. Then the lady did not open the door, and Jaimini was so much disturbed in his mind. His mind had become so much agitated.
हरंती प्रस्बम्मन, कि उनके मन को जो है उनकी इंद्रियों ने बिल्कुल
His
बलपूर्वक हरण
senses
कर लिया,
had forcibly snatched
और
away.
वो उस कुटिया की
his mind. So then he went to the roof of that hut. It was made of grass. So he started removing the grass on the ceiling of the hut, and then he jumped inside the hut. And when he jumped inside, he saw that Vyasa Dev was sitting in Samadhi. When he jumped inside, then Vyasdev asked him that what happened? Please tell. What are you doing here? Then Jaimini realized, and he fell at the feet of his guru, Sri Vyasdev, and he replied that what you were telling was right. It was my mistake. I was under the illusion, I was thinking that intelligent people can control their senses, but what you said was right. So same thing is being explained here by Bhagavan also. In Bhagavatam there is this verse that except for Narayan and his real devotees, there is nobody else who will not be deluded by Bhagavan's Maya. So it is explained in the story of Lord Shiva also. Although he is a great devotee, but it is shown there that how he became attracted to Mohini and started running after her. So that is why a sadhak, a spiritualist should remain very careful, because otherwise, by a small mistake, he can get deviated from his path, he can fall down. That's why here there is this verse that Purushasya Vipaschitah. Here there is Bhagavan is not talking of an ordinary person. It is useless to talk of ordinary people because they have no control at all over their senses. That's why we see in our codes of law there is so many instructions, rules regarding rape, etc. But every day we hear news. Although there are so many strict rules, still people are engaging in all these illegal activities. Why? Because senses are extremely strong, and they are not some spiritualists, they are not sadhak. So how will they be able to control their senses? Here it is explained that even an intelligent person can get deluded. Like this, there are many stories in Shastra, that of Vishwamitra. Even there is Katha of Brahmaji, that he also fell for his daughter. So here, this is what is being explained, that no jiva should ever have this ahankara, this pride, and bhakta should at least never have this pride. Although gyan, people on gyan marga may have because they just accept Brahma, but a bhakta should never have this pride that now he has become perfect in controlling his senses. He should always have this feeling, this mood, that it is by Bhagavan's mercy that my senses are under control and I have no power to control my senses. Then on, because then only he will be able to continue. And this is actually the reality also. It's not just his about a mood. This is the reality. Because Bhagavan has told in Gita that my Maya is extremely difficult to surpass. It is not possible for any Jiva to get over this Maya. Only one who surrenders to me can cross over it. So that is why we should have this idea fixed up in our mind. Otherwise, these senses are like dacoits, plunderers. In front of you, the dacoits will loot your property, not like a thief, because thief steals your property in hiding, but the dacoit will do it openly. So that's why here it is also said vipaschita. This is explained in different ways. Here vipaschita can be like pashyati, one who sees. So you are seeing that your senses are dragging you away, and you know that it should not happen, but still you find yourself unable to control them. This is what happens. So that is why Bhagavan is instructing here, he is cautioning here, he is warning us here in this verse. And this happens because it proves that there is attachment, there is rasa lying inside the senses. So one who has obtained the Paramatma, who has realized the Paramatma, he will not fall under this situation because he has already crossed over the Maya. So now his senses cannot disturb him. Otherwise, the senses, they are very disturbing. They will always agitate us. So just like in the Samudra Manthan, in the churning of the ocean, first of all, what came out? That was poison, Visha, and the Visha will take us to Vishaya. Means this poison, it takes us to the sense objects and makes our life immersed in sense objects. This is what Vishaya is. It has Visha. That's what Arjun also says, that these senses, they are extremely strong. They they deviate us from our goal. So first of all, we have to have a clear goal. We should be determined about to attain it. And then most important thing is taking shelter of Bhagavan. If we can get that, then it is fine, because we ourselves do not have any capability to control the senses. The mind is also very strong and senses are also very strong. Although here it is said that mind takes away our senses, but the senses also have their own power. When you engage in your habit repeatedly, then that sense also gets this power. Like we have voluntary and involuntary action. So the senses, they also have their power, their independence. So if mind and senses both become very strong, then who can stop them? Intelligence is already subdued by them. Intelligence is already polluted. So that is why it has to be, we have to be understand all this properly. According to modern psychology, it is said that there is conscious and unconscious mind. What we call as man and buddhi, mind and intelligence. Buddhi is actually awareness.
और इसके अलावा जो मन, जो अवचेतन मन, वो कहते हैं कि अवचेतन मन है एक,
and what they call as unconscious or subconscious mind, that is 90%. So what all is lying inside that and how it works, like that, the theory of Sigmund Freud. So we don't know about that, and when we don't know about that, how shall we control it? If we have to control something, we should have knowledge of that. So how shall we control? So like this, that's why people take vow and then they break their vows. So why does this happen? You lie down on the bed at night and decide that I will wake up at 5 o'clock, but when alarm rings, then you snooze the alarm. But you are the same person who had decided at the night that I will wake up at 5 o'clock, and in the morning also you are the same person. No, you are not the same. That time your mind was different, now mind is different, and this mind is subduing the previous one. You call it unconscious mind, subconscious, or whatever, that subdues the previous one, because this is very powerful. According to Freud, this is 90%. He says, like iceberg, which is in the water, only 10% is visible outside, 90% is inside the water. Means the conscious mind is only 10%, the subconscious one is 90%. So it controls us. And then all our vows, we just forget them. That is why this awareness, this consciousness is very important in every path. Even in the path of bhakti, it is not that you just do bhakti like a machine, because ultimately bhakti is also bhava bhakti. Bhava means consciousness, awareness. That is bhava.
लेकिन
So we are doing
शुरुआत वही
sadhana,
वहां तक ही पहुंचना है।
you're doing practice with the purpose, with the goal of achieving the bhava.
आगे उसका
And if we have to attain the bhava, then we have to practice accordingly right from the beginning. That is why whatever activity we perform, we should perform it with awareness, proper consciousness. It is very important to practice inculcating the right awareness, the right consciousness in our action. Otherwise, when our senses will drag us away, we won't even realize and we will repent that we did not want this, but what happened? So it happens due to this reason
हम जागरूक नहीं रहते,
that
यानी कि हमारा
we do not remain aware.
जो मन है वो भी सो जाता है।
Our conscious mind also sleeps.
इसके लिए भगवान हमको यहाँ
So, in order to caution us from that happening, Bhagavan is warning us here
किस प्रकार से हमें
that
जागरूक
how we should remain aware
नियंत्रण करना
about this truth and we have to control our
समाधान जो
senses.
है वो
And
आगे वाले श्लोक
in the next verse, he will give the solution
अगले प्रवचन में
for
पढ़ेंगे।
this problem that we will study that in the next class. If you have any question, you can ask.
धन्यवाद बाबा जी, बहुत बहुत। जैसे आपने जैमिनी की
So, question,
कथा बताई,
like you narrated the story of Jaimini
इंद्रियाणि परमात्मनि हरन्ति
and the second line of the verse 60.
एक तरफ जैमिनी है और एक दूसरी तरफ रामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर हैं।
One side there is Jaimini, other side we have Sri Haridas Thakur,
तो
etc.
फॉलो करते हैं और
So we follow them
नाम जप भी करते हैं
and we engage in
और
chanting Bhagavan's name.
चिंतामणि चैतन्य रस विग्रह। तो रस है, सब कुछ है, और 1,00,000 3,00,000 नाम इस तरह से।
So we have heard Nama has lot of rasa. People do 1 lakh names, chant 3 lakh names,
नाम में जो रस है, नाम रुचि,
but still we do not see the result of the chanting of name, realize the rasa. And we have heard many stories also that after a lot of chanting also people are not experiencing the result.
कारण हो सकते हैं, ऐसा
So answer,
बारे में कह नहीं सकता हूँ।
that can have various reasons. I cannot speak about anyone specifically unless I know the lifestyle of that person. One primary reason of not getting the result of chanting is offense
गोस्वामी जी कहते
in the path of bhakti.
हैं माया थी,
In the path of bhakti, Sri Rupa Goswami says that
ये साधना की बात अगर
forget about sadhana.
भाव की स्थिति, भाव
Even if
स्थित है,
a person is on the stage of bhava, he can fall in the stage of abhava if he commits offense to some great devotee.
जैसे हम अपनी साधना करते हैं,
So that is why how like we do when we do sadhana, we also have to stay careful from those things which are against or opposite or antagonistic to the sadhana.
जो मैं कह रहा हूँ कि हमें इसका
So what is being told here, and I explained that we should not be proud of being a great sense controller. Why? Because when we have this pride, then we offend the other person,
अच्छे भक्त का
and if we end up in insulting some nice devotee, great devotee, as such we should not insult anybody, but if we do that to some great devotee, criticize or insult or offend him, then it becomes a very big offense. That is one reason. Second reason, what I said, whether we when we engage in sadhana, whether it is chanting or whatever, we have to do it with awareness, not like a machine or a tape recorder. If you play a tape recorder is also chanting Harinam. Our body is also a machine like a tape recorder only. The vocal cord itself is a machine. So you have activated and it is emitting sound.
दास्य भाव भगवान के प्रति, जैसे उनको बुलाना, उनका ध्यान करना, ये
So we have to have the proper bhava that we are servant of Bhagavan, we are calling him. So if we have that bhava, then we get the proper result of chanting. Otherwise, Shastra has glorified chanting that whatever way you chant Bhagavan's name, even if it is mechanically, you will get the result. But along with that, if you have offenses of this in this life or previous lives, so then they will fructify and they will disturb your sadhana. What is being shown here in first chapter also I had explained earlier that when a person comes into the spiritual path, then his anarthas, they start manifesting. Like Arjun, he came here. Earlier, he was considering everyone as enemy. He was calling them as durbuddhi, having bad intelligence. But then later he started considering them as swajanas, as his relatives. So how this turn happened? This is what happens on the spiritual path. When we come on the spiritual path, we understand that this is wrong, we should not do this. We come with great determination, but slowly, as our anarthas start manifesting, we start deriving taste in our own anarthas only. That can be due to our material ego, our pride, and we become lax in our determination, in our sadhana, and then slowly like this there is danger of falling down. That is why it is said that sadhu should be very careful. Sadhu, spiritualist, a sadhak should always remain careful. Savadhan means sa avadhan. Avadhan purvak means avadhan means awareness.
प्रश्न है राधे राधे
Question
महाराज जी भगवान जी का
Question: what is the style of working of Bhagavan? For example, Bhagavan is all powerful, and but why did he not give good destination to Ravan or and Duryodhan? Why did he not change their intelligence? Then this war would not have happened. So answer: Bhagavan says that I appear to establish dharma. So this is his leela. Leela means that establishing dharma not just means that he destroyed the asuras, but he also gives us education through his leela. So when he showed in his leela that how the asuras work, what is their nature, how we should deal with them. So if he would have changed their mind only, then why did he even come here? That he could have done that even sitting in Vaikuntha. He is sitting in everyone's heart. So there was no, then you can say there was no reason even to appear here. So by doing all this, he is actually giving us education. Education department is held by Bhagwan himself. Like now we have education minister, so Bhagwan is handling the education department. And education minister does not mean that Bhagwan simply sits in his home. No, he personally acts and teaches us through his actions. Next question.
जो मनुष्य को अनुभव हो सकता है उसका तारतम्य
Is there any gradation of the rasas in Shastra, the rasas that human being can experience? Can you explain? So answer, which rasa are you talking of? Bhakti rasa, rasa of food, etc. Which one are you talking of?
बाबा जी महाराज, जैसे सबसे आपने बताया कि सबसे ज्यादा स्ट्रॉन्ग जो है खाने मतलब फूड के प्रति है, देन
so question, just like you said that there is taste for food, then above that there may be sex, relationship, etc. So answer, first of all, there is food only. Without food there is nothing. I already explained. This is another meaning of this verse. The word nirahas is used here. So everything else comes later. So if you do not water a plant, it will dry up. It will not have any leaves, fruits, etc., flowers, nothing. Next question. We have to suffer the results of our karmas. Where are the karmas getting recorded and who is recording them? So answer, they are getting recorded in your chitta like samskara. Like when a camera is recording something, so it gets records in the reel. Similarly, your chitta is there. The chitta is recording it. You must have heard the name of Chitragupta, who is the secretary of Yamaraj. So he is called Chitragupta because Chitra means to take photo and Gupta is hidden. Chitragupta means hidden camera. So your samskar karmas are getting recorded in your own chitta only. You cannot escape from them. You can sit alone and do all kinds of nonsense, but you cannot escape from the result.
प्रश्न है, सिर्फ एक व्यक्ति
Next
अपने
question.
इस और पिछले जीवन में ही अनंत कर्म करता है और
One
इस पृथ्वी
person in
पर
this life and previous lives only performs infinite karmas,
लोग हैं
and in this world there are infinite number of living creatures. So how can such this infinite record be maintained? So you can experience today's in the computer world in one small chip how much information can be recorded. I do not know what is the age. In the earlier times, the computers in 1960s, 70s, they had huge size of disks, like big eating plates. So their capacity was very less like today's small USB disks. Their capacity was very less. So don't worry about that, how this infinite karma is getting recorded. Bhagavan is all powerful. Material nature has lot of power. Everything is possible.
प्रश्न है, अलग अलग
Next question.
कमेंटेटर्स गीता की अलग अलग कमेंट्री पब्लिश करते हैं. श्री कृष्ण ने खुद ही
Different
गीता जी के बारे में
commentators
क्यों
publish various commentaries on Gita. Why did Bhagavan Sri Krishna not publish his own commentary
पढ़ के
on
समझ
Gita so that we all could learn from one commentary of directly from Bhagavan himself?
क्योंकि जो अलग अलग कमेंट्री हैं वो अलग अलग लोगों
Answer.
को रस देती हैं.
Different commentaries are there because they provide different rasas to people. People have taste for different types of food. If there is one food only, then some people may not like it. Then they will not study Gita only.
जरूरी थोड़ी कि सबको भगवान की कमेंट्री पसंद आए.
Is it necessary that everybody will like Bhagavan's commentary? So different commentaries are written. Different people have different taste. There is taste in variety, and there is lot of variety, diversity in the world.
प्रश्न है,
Next
जिन योग
question.
की सिद्धियों के बारे में आपने बताया,
The yoga powers you described, are they tricks
जो
that can be explained scientifically or of special mystical origin?
समझाई जा सकती हैं.
समझाई जा सकती हैं, सीखी जा सकती हैं. उनको सीख सकते हो आप.
Answer, yeah, you can learn them from the knowledgeable, experienced people in this field.
प्रश्न है, भगवान ने हम
Next
सब
question.
मनुष्यों को ऐसा क्यों नहीं बनाया कि जन्म से ही हम सबकी इंद्रियां
Why
हमारे
did
हाथ में
Bhagavan not make us like this, that our senses would have been under control from childhood only? Answer, then you would be a machine. Like you have a machine and it is under your control. But can you derive any pleasure, happiness from a machine?
किसी के साथ में संबंध बनाना चाहते हैं, प्रेम का
If you want to make a relation of loving relation with somebody, then that person should have some freedom.
100% अपने नियंत्रण में
If you 100% control that person, then what relation will you make?
आपके हाथ में खिलौना हो गया.
This is a machine. It's like a toy in your hands.
मोहिनी जी पूछती हैं कि कोई
Next
अपने
question.
पूर्व जन्म के अपराध से कैसे छुटकारा पा सकता है? क्या मुझे उन्हें
How
जानने की
can
आवश्यकता है?
one get rid of the previous lives aparad? Do I need to know them? Answer, no, it is not possible for you to know the aparadhas that you offenses you committed in the previous life. You can make some estimate, but who can tell you? You have to consult a very expert Jyotish. Maybe he can tell you. But anyway, what can you do for that? The only thing you can do is stop committing offenses further. If you have already released the arrow from the bow, how can you get it back?
आपके पास में बंदूक है, आपने गोली चला दी,
You shot the bullet. Now how can you get it back?
तो आगे मत चलाइए.
लावेश जी का प्रश्न है
Next question.
कि किस प्रकार से
How does higher taste manifest
रस किसी के लिए
for someone aspiring for higher taste through devotional service?
डिवोशनल सर्विस कर रहा है या उसके लिए एस्पायर कर रहा है?
क्या मतलब? क्या मतलब क्या हुआ?
मैं इंग्लिश में पढ़ देती हूँ. हाउ डज हायर टेस्ट मैनिफेस्ट फॉर समवन एस्पायरिंग फॉर हायर टेस्ट थ्रू डिवोशनल सर्विस?
Manifest through devotion.
So answer,
Itself is a higher test.
answer, devotion itself is higher taste.
भक्ति सुख स्वरूप है, आह्लादनी और संवित.
Bhakti itself is ananda.
तो उसमें एक हिस्सा
आह्लादिनी शक्ति. So there is Ananda in Bhakti, that itself is rasa.
इंद्रियों का बल
Next
क्या
question.
है? तो
What do we mean by the strength, the power of the indriyas? What is the strength? Is it samskar or what is the strength? Answer: all this strength of the senses, mind, etc. This is all nothing but samskar. The deeper your samskaras, the more is the strength.
कंप्यूटर में प्रोग्राम है, लेकिन प्रोग्राम का तो कोई ऐसा गहराई और
In computer there is program, but in programs we don't have any concept of depth or anything. Program is just a program. But here when we talk about our own samskaras, they have varying degrees of depth. Like if you see painting, some painting may be faint,
पेंटिंग है जो दूर से ही दिखती है, रंग ठीक से भरे हुए हैं, और दूसरी
some
फेड हो गई,
painting may be very clear, some painting has little faded away, the color has faded. So samskaras are like that.
तो उसका बल इस पर निर्भर करता है कि
So
कितना
its
उसमें
strength depends on how much color is there in that samskar, how much deep it is.
तो इसलिए इंद्रियों का स्वतंत्र कर्तृत्व नहीं है. ये सब
इंद्रियों का स्वतंत्र कर्तृत्व
So
नहीं है.
that question, that does that mean that the senses do not have independent power? Answer: they do not have independent power, but the point is that you are driving a car and you have become accustomed to it. Now then you become habituated. Now your legs will automatically go to the brake and will go to the some accelerator, steering. You may be thinking something else and driving the car. So your hands and legs have become accustomed to driving it. So this is a kind of samskara that you get.
ठीक है. प्रार्थना श्लोक. सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपालनंदनः पार्थो वत्सः सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत्. एकं शास्त्रं देवकी पुत्र गीतम् एको देवो देवकी पुत्र एव. एको मंत्रस्तस्य नामानि यानि कर्माप्येकं तस्य देवस्य सेवा. कार्पण्यदोषोपहतः स्वभावः पृच्छामि त्वां धर्मसम्मूढचेताः. यच्छ्रेयः स्यान्निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यस्तेऽहं शाधिमां त्वां प्रपन्नम्. यत्र योगेश्वरः कृष्णो यत्र पार्थो धनुर्धरः तत्र श्रीर्विजयो भूतिर् ध्रुवा नीतिर्मतिर्मम. कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः. नमः पंकजनाभाय नमः पंकजमालिने नमः पंकजनेत्राय नमस्ते पंकजांघ्रये. भवे भवे यथा भक्तिः पादयोस्तव जायते तथा कुरुष्व देवेश नाथस्त्वं नो यतः प्रभो. नाम संकीर्तनं यस्य सर्वपाप प्रणाशनम् प्रणामो दुःखशमनस्तं नमामि हरिं परम्। हरि ओम तत्सत्।